Sensitive to offence such a problem though? Like, we would have previously called that manners.
It's a terrible problem. So imagine okay, so the rule is you can't offend anyone, all right? Let's say you're speaking to one person, I can't offend you. All right, fair enough. What if I'm speaking to 10 people? Do I get to offend 1 in 10? How about 1 in 100? How about 1 in 1,000? You're going to come out on stage and you're going to say something important about something vital, and you're not going to offend 1 person in 1,000? Well, you can't say anything about anything important ever without offending probably the person you're talking to. Important speech about important issues, especially contentious issues, is instantly offensive.
But there are ways that you can share, I guess, provocative views where you attempt to still do that with an air of, say, respectfulness, where you're trying to mitigate against the offensiveness.
This is true, yeah. You can actually try listening when you're having a conversation, right? Assuming that both people who are having the conversation are of goodwill and they're not trying to play tricks and they're struggling towards the truth, which neither of them hold completely and both understand that. Yeah, you can reach across fairly large gaps and negotiate peace. Thank God for that, or we'd be at each other's throats all the time.
Today we'll be interviewing you on what your opinions are on the First Amendment, specifically free speech. What do you view within school as what are your rights with free speech and how do you use them?
So, for the most part, in school, you do have the right to First Amendment. You can use your free speech. While there are some limitations, obviously. The big one's what the school defines as disruptive, which is what they outlined in Morris v. Fredericks in 2007. So basically, and this applies even outside of schools, as long as you're on a school event or a field trip, basically, you can pretty much say whatever as long as it's not being disruptive. In that case, actually, the guy had the case, he said bong hits for Jesus, and they outlined that as disruptive. So they took that away, but otherwise, as long as you're not impeding the learning of students, you pretty much have the right to free speech in school.
So is there any way that you think you should be able to change the freedom of speech within school?
What I would add to free speech?
Anything that you would make different, if you would even limit it more if you find that it becomes a problem?
I don't know, I can't really think of anything right now. I think that, especially through case law, they've done a decent job. I think if we look at Tinker v. Des Moines, they have a lot of even expressed political free speech, which we can have with association with clubs and other things, as long as, again, it's not being disruptive. So I would say one thing that I think the school did a good job on would be the walkout. They did punish those people, was kind of disruptive. I mean, they did their own thing, but they did get some punishment, so I think the school's in the right there. I don't know if I would add a free speech protection for that since they did leave school.
Are there any things in the future that you think could become an issue with freedom of speech within school, like any topics of discussion or anything within the current political atmosphere?
Obviously, it's kind of hard to see what's going to come in the future, but with a more heated political climate that we're coming into, I can definitely see some issues if somebody expressing their own free speech, it's not disruptive, and somebody else gets offended by it, and then it causes a whole disruptive issue. So I think there's a potential for that with some of these more heated topics. If somebody's just sharing their own opinion, that can cause some issues with other people, and then they might have to limit that free speech, but we'll have to see.
All right, as a teacher, how are you able to use freedom of speech in your classroom?
Well, we are limited in our schedule what we can and can't present. If it's within the content areas that we're teaching. There's some leeway you have, but generally, freedom of speech is limited to you as a student and to me as a teacher, as long as it doesn't distract from the classroom environment. Going back to the Tinker versus Des Moines case. So I feel like we have latitude here. Again, it's creating an environment where people would feel open to be able to express themselves, aren't afraid to do so. Luckily, we have some leeway here to do that. But for the most part, I don't feel as limited as a teacher. I think students have a little more limitations than I have. But if there is something in purview where parents are upset about it, or something that's said in class, hopefully there's an open dialogue there, and those things can be somehow there would be ramifications, and hopefully a discussion for that.
Okay, awesome, thank you. So, as you know, this is how the First Amendment works. Do you think there should be changes, or to your freedom of speech as a teacher, do you think it's right how it is, or do you think there should be any changes to this?
No, I really think actually, I mean, it depends on a school by school basis. For the most part, you know, we do have an open society we live in. I know there are some conversations on college campuses, which is it's a different purview, a different venue than what we have on in a high school campus. But I think for the most part, freedom of speech is very important, having open dialogue and being able to get information so you can make the right decisions moving forward. And hopefully as teachers, we can do that. All right, help out you guys to make the right decisions for what you're doing. Yes, Jonas.
Awesome, thank you.
Thanks.